Hello, dear friends of adventure games. The spyware we installed on your computers tells me that many children are sitting at their screens again tonight. That's why I'll refrain from telling you the story that I had actually prepared for you. Of course, that's a real shame. It would have been such a good story. Entertaining explosions, a giant robotic opossum, but also with many offensive expressions and an inordinate amount of excessive violence. The story that I'll tell you instead has a slightly different flavor. It's about Lilly, the most virtuous child in the entire world. And it begins in the courtyard of a small, sleepy convent school. Not too far from the place where the giant robotic opossum is sucking the brains of innocent bystanders out through their eye sockets. But enough of that. It's a beautiful, sunny day, and Lilly is raking the leaves in the yard with a cheery tune on her lips.
How many times do I have to tell you not to sing while working? You know very well that I hate the sound of cheerful children. These children are driving me crazy.
Chapter 1, The Convent. There's not going to be as much dialogue this Let's Play because there's a lot of voice acting and I don't really want to talk over anybody, so just to let you know for the future.
Oh, there you are. Is that Molech making you rake leaves again?
Uh-huh.
How boring, and so unnecessary too. The leaves all drift back onto the path anyway. You should just come with me instead. I'm on a treasure hunt right now, you know? Well, it's your decision. You can always come to the swing tree later, when you're done here. I think I found something in the flower beds over there. Until then, see ya!
Aw, poor Lilly. Left all alone.
There are frequent reports of accidents caused by the mishandling of computer games. To minimize the risk of a crippling deformity, we recommend that you strictly comply with all of the following safety guidelines. Do you want to play the tutorial?
No, I have a firm grip of how to play the game, thank you. Alright, so your first job is to rake the leaves from the path. Seems easy enough. Of course, anything in this game, if it seems easy, more likely than not, it is completely off the wall. Like, you know, how to figure out how to do it. This is one of the rare instances of, well, you gotta rake the leaves, so rake the leaves. Of course, if you actually try and be a good girl, I mean, you can keep raking these leaves, but, I mean, I don't know if anybody out there's actually raked the leaves or not, but you don't really do anything once they're all in a pile. You just kind of sit there. So what's the way you're supposed to be done with this? Because you can't leave, you can't do anything else, all you can do is use the rake. So what's the best way of getting out of a chore? The answer, of course, if you ever were a child, is try and tick off whoever it is that sent you to do the chores. So let's just rake the stone slab, because I'm sure that won't be annoying at all.
What's that noise outside?
I mean, I don't know how this is supposed to help anything, but
It's unbearable.
that's I love just doing this just to tick her off. I hate her.
Lilly, now I've had it up to here. I guess I overestimated you once again. You're not even fit to rake leaves. It doesn't matter. I have 2 new tasks for you. The flower beds in the backyard have to be dug up again. Can you manage that?
Uh-huh.
I doubt it, but we'll see. And while you're in the backyard, the swing tree is infested by termites. Come up with something to get rid of them for good. So, one more time, for the really clueless. First, dig up the flower beds. Second, get rid of the termites infesting swing tree. You'll be very sorry if you don't do a good job.
So yes, now we've got our secondary orders, but as you can see, Lilly is a girl that just tries to do everything right. She's not really a big troublemaker, or is she? Wait a minute, what is this?
Where could the hose lead to?
Well, I don't blame you if you didn't find this. I didn't find this for the longest time myself, my first time through the game, but this is a rather important bush.
Lily would have also made a good bush. She could stand on the sidelines for hours without anyone noticing her.
Lily lives a sad life.
Lily was excited. Where could the hose lead to? What a surprise! The hose led to a thing.
I love the narrator there. What a surprise. Like he's... I don't know why, that reminded me of like a 1960s sitcom. Such a good job this narrator did. Like, I am envious. I wish I could get into a gig like this.
A brush was lying on the shelf directly below the window. Lily just had to reach out.
I mean, imagine my voice as a narrator, man. I could do it. I could totally do it. I'd be the best narrator ever. And if you don't know why, I just picked up a paintbrush. You've never played a I almost said choose your own adventure. A point-and-click adventure game. If it's not nailed down to the ground, you're gonna use it at one point or another, most likely. Not in all point-and-adventure games, but most of them.
Too bad. The faucet was dry.
And as you can no doubt guess, this is going to be a rather important thing later with the pump, if you didn't know what that was, and the faucet, and the garden hose. But for now, we don't really know what to do with that. Well, you don't. I do, but... for the purposes of this, I don't know what to do either. So I don't want to make this into a complete walkthrough, but... kind of hard not to when you already know what to do now, isn't it? Anyway, Freeman, how are you?
Lily's fellow student Freeman was bent over the edge of the well. If he moved forward just a little more, he'd fall in. Just like in Lily's favorite book.
Favorite book about people falling in a well? What book was that?
Lily liked bees. Their buzzing was so sweet, and they were always so busy collecting honey. And if you look closely, you could even see their stingers twinkle cheerfully in the sunlight.
Oh god, I hate bees. Bees are my most hated nemesis on this earth.
Oh, Lily. I thought somebody was there. Don't bug me. I'm busy.
And our first conversation of the game, and you'll see pretty much what it devolves into. Well, what's inside the well? Or go on about the chores we've been assigned. So, what's inside the well?
Didn't I tell you to leave me alone? I'm trying to concentrate, okay? Something is down there in the well. I can see something sparkling. Oh man, I hope it's the key to the cellar. That would be so gumbo.
I'm probably going to regret asking this, but what does gumbo mean?
Let me guess. You don't know what gumbo is, right? Oh, Lily, you're just hopelessly square. Guys as cool as me say that's totally gumbo. Or, that gumbos. But you're just lame. Totally ungumbo.
As you can probably guess as to what we're supposed to ask about the cellar keys. But that's not as fun as trying to annoy him, basically.
Is this gonna be another one of your lectures about law and order at the convent? I'm so interested.
We can't really go in the well.
What now? Can't you see I'm busy with the well? Or did your oh-so-great Mother Superior forbid that too? Oh yeah? That just proves how absurd adults' rules are.
Well, it is pretty deep.
What, you're still here? Don't creep around like that. I almost fell in the well from fright. Oh, how cute. Are you worried about me now, or what? Don't worry, I'm not stupid. I'm not gonna climb down into the well. But not because Mother Superior has forbidden it, just because it really is too dangerous. Although...
Oh, I forgot. This was actually what you're supposed to talk to him about. The well is awful dangerous, though.
What? I know that Mother Superior doesn't want us climbing into the well. Why don't you tell someone who cares? On the contrary, that's almost an incentive. I'd do almost anything to avoid becoming such a conformist little robot like you. I said get lost. It's none of your business what I'm doing here.
yeah, from here on out, it's more so of the whole, all you do is talk about rules. And yet, I think what you actually were supposed to talk about were the rules and get him to say, I kind of want to climb in there now just to not be like you. But I guess for giggles, we'll ask what about the cellar key.
Really, Lily, stop talking so much. Unless, of course, you have an idea how I can get the cellar key. Just think of all the things I could do with it. I hear that awesome stuff is stored down there. Not just junk like shovels and brushes and all that. I'm talking about real treasures.
Alright, I don't really feel like going over his chores. He basically just makes fun of you for having chores and tells you he has no idea what you're gonna do about it. So let's just end that. Now you might think, well, that was just pointless getting made fun of. Why did we ever go there? There is a reason. Lily's a nice girl, though. She's not gonna push him into the well. What do you take her for? Oh my. Somebody just took a dip. I wonder who it could have been. Surely couldn't be the...
When Lily returned to the well, Freeman was gone.
Oh well, Freeman must have went in the lake over here. Obviously, that's what happened.
Lily! Help!
Lily heard strange noises from the bottom of the well. But she was a good little girl, and she knew she wasn't supposed to play near the well. Just like Freeman. She had even told him so herself. Where could he be?
Okay, now this part is kind of sociopathic. It's kind of... okay, it's just mean. There is a reason for it, but we want that bee's nest.
The idea was good, but Lily's arms were too short.
So why do we want the bee's nest? Okay, well, do you remember when she said that we have to dig up the flower beds? Or not dig up the flower beds, we have to get rid of the termites? Well, I don't know if you know anything about termites and things like that, but they love sweet things. This is a licorice tree, I think, or whatever they said. We need to get them off of this tree. Well, how do you get ants, or ants, what do you do with insects that like sweet stuff, but already have something that's sweet? Well, you need honey. So how do we get the honey? Well, to get the honey, this is why I said this is kind of sociopathic, but
Ow! Ah! What's going on? Lily, no! Go away! Go away! I'm allergic!
Oh no. Clumsy Lily had actually dropped the bee's nest into the well. The bees didn't like it too much either. Their buzzing sounded different than usual.
Lily! Help!
Lily heard strange, but she was a good little girl, and she knew she wasn't supposed to play near the well. Just like Freeman. She had even told him so herself. Where could he be?
so how do we get the bee's nest back? Well, it's pretty simple. Humans float. Bee's nests presumably float. We gotta get water into the well. Now the problem is, this was empty. Well, but the faucet does not work. It's empty, so what do we do?
Too bad.
Well, anybody that has ever used a pump before knows pretty much what you do here. You just plug it in. Now, you can turn this on without hooking the whole thing properly up. It's actually funny, I should have done that before, because Mistress... I forget her name because I don't care enough to, because I don't like her, doesn't like it.
Lily! You completely lost your mind! Turn that off immediately! But did I not tell you exactly what you should be doing? I just can't believe you keep finding new ways to disappoint me!
Lily didn't understand what she had done wrong.
Yes. Well, at least now we've saved Freeman. That's something, right? He looks a little peeved, though, so... oh boy.
Freeman was a little grumpy, sure, but he looked so funny with those red dots and yellow honey stains. There was no way this could last long.
Lily, thanks a lot for your great help. You really did a fantastic job. If I can ever help you... Oh, you want the cellar key, but of course not. What in the world are you thinking? You're the one who got me to go into the well. It's your fault that I fell in. But instead of helping me get out, You throw a beehive on my head and nearly drown me. Look at me. I'm wet, covered in bee stings, and smeared from head to toe with honey. I know everyone thinks you're sweet and harmless, but you're actually a walking disaster. You can definitely forget about the key. You keep away from me.
Well, that was a little uncalled for. Lilly hasn't done anything to deserve such a thing. But yes, the reason we wanted the brush was so we could get some honey. This game, if you're not familiar with it, requires a little bit of off-the-wall thinking at times. This is just the very beginning of it, and this is actually quite straightforward and logical compared to some of the other puzzles in the game coming up. Now you'll notice when Lilly walks with the paintbrush full of honey, that around her... Yeah, honey is dripping down. Well, what could that be useful for? Yep, we're leading the termites away from the tree.
The yard waste was rotting away leisurely in the composting bin. A paradise for maggots and spiders. Lilly couldn't stop watching the fascinating activity in there.
And yes, for the people that watched my previous Let's Play, here is Edna from Edna and Harvey the Breakout. So, yeah, love Edna. Anyway, let's get these termites out from the, off the tree and into the compost barrel.
The compost bin was the ideal place to move the termites to. Lilly started right away.
This will have no negative repercussions whatsoever.
So far, the plan had worked well. Maybe a little too well. The termites were now following Lily's spilled honey back into the courtyard.
No, don't! Get away!
Strange sounds were drifting towards her from over there. It was probably the termites celebrating their new home.
Yeah, I'm just gonna warn you right now, if you have a weak constitution, I recommend hitting the back button in the next 5 seconds. Because this game, it pulls no punches when it comes to, well, it does pull some punches when it comes to gore, but later in the game it doesn't, so be warned. Oh my.
Freeman had now left for good, but at least the termites had found a new home on the bench. And as if that weren't reason enough to be happy, they had been joined by one of those funny gnomes that Lilly sometimes saw around.
I love that inflection the narrator gives. Oh my.
Freeman had left the cellar key for Lilly. How nice of him.
How nice indeed. Yeah. What about the termites? I mean, I don't know if they do that. I thought they only ate wood, but okay.
It looked like the termites had found a new home. And one of the gnomes that Lilly saw now and then was in the process of painting it in various colors. Too bad that Freeman was no longer here. He would probably have liked it too.
He probably would have. Oh, that old kidder Freeman. He must have left. I don't know where he possibly went. So now that we can actually get into the cellar, we can actually use it.
Mother Superior had strictly forbidden the children from playing in the cellar. On the other hand, Lilly had a task to finish.
Ah yes, the cellar. The cellar is I don't want to say rather important. I think you do come back in here again later, but I don't want to spoil as to why.
Lilly knew that this device was called an air hammer, but she didn't know why anyone would want to hammer air.
Looks like a jackhammer to me, but I'm not exactly proficient in construction tools, power tools. Heck, I'm barely proficient with a regular hammer.
A shovel. That's exactly what Lilly needed. A shovel. That's
Yes, thank you for repeating that. But a stove.
The stove was black and empty. Just like the mirror that always appeared in Lily's dreams.
You'll notice every time you do that, the music will stop when you get into something serious like that. Just like the mirror in Lily's dreams. It's kind of giving you a foreboding of Lily's not exactly all she appears to be.
There were those voices again, ordering Lilly to burn her stuff. Too bad there was no fire in the stove.
Oh, those voices telling you to burn stuff again. Don't you just hate when the magical voices tell you to do stuff? Yeah, Lily's not your average little schoolgirl, and I love this game because of it.